Alright, here we go. This is going to be my first Let's Play or commentary or anything like that. I'm doing NCAA 2013. It just came out a couple of days ago. Gave it a shot. Hadn't played one of these in a couple of years, probably 2 or 3 years. It's because it's so repetitive. I mean, like, they update one or two things at a time, so I figured I'd give it a shot, see what it's like. And I like it so far. I did a couple of games in the Road to Glory, playing all the high school games. I don't know if I really like that as much. I'd rather just play the playoff games and go from there, but it works. And what we're going to be doing here is a Dynasty. I already created one just for the heck of it. I play as the Northern Illinois Huskies. I don't know why. I'm from Texas. Always been down south and never been up north. Never been to Illinois, but for some reason, I dig the Huskies and their logo. I went with Steve at first, or Steven, or something weird like that. But then I remembered I had a different name in mind, based off of a movie I had seen. I chose Doug Reamer. If you know where that's from, then props to you. If you don't know what it's from, you need to get a hold of a movie called Basketball. It's made by the dudes that did South Park. They created it. They starred in it, and it's probably one of my all-time favorite movies. It's hilarious. It's just how they work together. It's pretty good. Just creating a coach here, trying to find the right body type. They don't have a young looking face, which I think is kind of weird. Granted, if you're a college football coach, you're probably not going to be 25, 26 years old. You're going to be a little older, but hey, that's just a little personal preference I like. Texas is my team. I'm from Texas, but I want to start with a lower team, but I like the Texas playbook. I'm a little bit more aggressive. Tend to favor the pass more than the run. I like to take chances and go for it. And I actually want the sub frequency to be a little higher. I want more subs to come in more frequently. That way my guys aren't tired all the time. And I went with the varsity because me personally, I don't like to lose. I hate losing. It's like a pet peeve of mine. If anybody that's ever been in any kind of sports would agree, you don't want to lose ever. So I don't want to play on a hard difficulty and get whooped every game. So I go on varsity and go from there. And if I start winning a lot of games, blowing people out, I'll pick harder teams. But being in the conference I'm going to be in, it's not likely I'll get beat, if at all, with most of the teams that are on the schedule. But that's just how I have it set up as of right now. And something else I noticed about this is the loading takes forever on this game. Like some aspects just take a long time, but as interfaced as the graphics are and everything, it kind of makes sense. As you can see here, I picked the Huskies again. Like I said, I just like the team, the logo, and last year they actually did pretty good in real life. Pretty sure they won their bowl game. They got a bowl bid and won their conference and did a whole bunch of stuff. So they actually did pretty good last year. They were actually a legitimate team for their division, their conference. So as you can see, Doug Reamer signed it. Like I said, if you haven't seen Basketball, gotta watch it. Awesome movie. Right now we're just doing the preseason. I'm gonna go ahead and show this. I probably won't show much of the recruiting after this. Well, I'll probably do this and then show the recruiting for week 1, and then after that not really mess with it, just because it's time consuming and it's not really fun to watch. I think it on average takes me about 10-15 minutes, just because I'm kind of meticulous on how everything goes. And I want to make sure I get decent enough players. I'm not wasting my time on 5-star recruits that as a 2-star school I'm not going to get. So I don't want to take that chance and that risk. And as you can see in the top right, there is scouting available right now, and that other Dynasty that I had set up, I totally didn't even notice that, and I went ahead and advanced it and didn't scout anybody. So I felt kind of silly, but hey, you learn from your mistakes. As you can see here, I'm going through my interested prospects, but not really much of what I'm looking for. I need a middle linebacker, guard, defensive end. It's pretty much what I need to get for the next season, as I have a couple of seniors graduating, and I go ahead and go for some other players that are going to graduate soon, just so I can go ahead and start backlogging players and everything like that. And I always want to get a pretty good receiving core, a decent running back, and some corners. And I like the tall corners personally, tall and fast if I can get them. But most corners aren't over 6'1". Get the occasional tall one, but it's rare. And for the guard, I went with squat. That's because they're constantly using their legs to push people and all that. So I went with squat, and then I also used the bench press, which is the BP, to help justify some of it. So if it had a high squat and a high bench press, then I looked at the 40 time, because I want somebody that's strong and quick. But 2-star school, I'm looking at maybe 4-star if I'm lucky, but usually 3-star or lower. But it's all right. Something that's cool about the game this year, it has the scouted, like up at the top it says 0% scouted. You can actually scout the players, and it could increase or decrease the overall rating. So you can actually see what they should be for the freshman year, which is pretty neat, because sometimes it'll jump, sometimes it'll just stay low. Yeah, this is showing what I need here. Ones in red are actually what I need this year going into next year. And it's guard, defensive end, middle linebacker. And like I said, I went with more corner. I want to start building my team up. I didn't go with any of the, like a lot of people are waiting to do their games or waiting to play it until all the rosters have been like legitimately created and uploaded, however they're doing that. But after 4 years, they're going to be gone anyways. The freshmen are going to be gone anyway, so what's the point? People you really want to play with are going to be gone after 1, maybe 2 years if they go pro early. So it doesn't really make much sense to me to wait and get legitimate players' names. So I just like to auto-generate it. I loved that feature back when they initially put it out, which was a couple of years ago, and it's like I've played it for a long time. Like it was whenever they first did the auto-generated names, and then when they first incorporated the online Dynasty and stuff like that. A couple of my friends and my brother and I, we would play, and it's fun, and it's good as long as you can keep people consistent in playing it. But we had one dude that didn't actually own the game. He had rented it and joined the online Dynasty, so we were waiting for his game and didn't want to advance it without him playing, because he actually lived with me at the time. So it was one of those, I don't want to take the risk in it and he get upset or something like that. So it ended up just falling off the edge. We never came back around to it. It's a little frustrating, but that's just how it happens. It's one of those things. You make sure you get somebody that's gonna play with you for a long time. So I keep hearing like a cat outside of my apartment. It's really weird. It sounded like a kitten at first, but I don't think it was. But oh well, I got distracted. Yeah, I'm going through my middle linebackers and getting everything set up here. Making sure I want a tall middle linebacker, and preferably a balanced or receiving or coverage middle linebacker. And as you can see, there was a JUCO junior that was actually really good, but I don't want a guy that's going to come in as a junior, play maybe 1 year, then leave. I'm not interested in any of that nonsense. So if they want to come to my school after the season's over, that's fine, but I'm not going to waste my time trying to scout them before the season or during the season. That's just a waste, in my opinion. So I highlighted him and then immediately unhighlighted him. He's not a target prospect for me. And for some reason, a lot of these guys were, like I said, top 10, and some of them are like 3. You could see your top 3 schools, top whatever schools, but some of them only had that's like the top 1 school. and it was kind of odd. I guess they were only interested in the one school. Like, as you could see there, they only got the one school selected as their top school. And it was like, well, figured they'd have more options already, but I think that's pretty neat how they incorporated that. Also, you can actually see how favored each school is, how many points behind. I'm not a NASCAR fan or anything like that, but kind of like in NASCAR, how many points are behind the leader. It's pretty much the same way as how far the other schools are behind the top school, and it's pretty neat. Going for my corner right now. I got a couple of more selections here to make before I move on. And then I think after this I'm going to go into the scouting. Like I said, I didn't notice it, and then I was about to start it, and I was like, wait a minute. It said I had 20 minutes to scout, which is really weird because in my other dynasty during the season I only got three minutes total, or 3 hours, I guess. 20 hours, my bad, not minutes, 20 hours. It's actually 3 hours during the season, and I think that's kind of cheap. It's because you have 35 guys on your potential prospect list, and you only have 3 hours to scout them. And most people, you can do an hour, and it still not unlock everything for that person. So one person could easily take an hour and a half to 2 hours, but once you do one, like for 60, you have to wait till the next week to do more. So it's kind of frustrating in that aspect, that I don't have more time available to scout. But maybe it's just because of the level I'm playing on. I guess on harder levels it allocates more to be able to scout those players and make sure everything's all set up. But I'm actually not really a college fan. I personally, in my apartment, don't even have cable or anything set up, just because I have the internet and I have my Xbox. I got Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that on there, so I don't really see the need in it. If I want to watch something, I can find it on there more than likely. And then I know, me personally, I would never go to sleep, so it's just one of those things. Something's on TV, I'm going to watch it until nothing's on to watch. Like, I'll sit there and watch it. My girlfriend always says when I go over to her parents' house that I'll sit in front of the TV. We go out to eat. If there's a TV, I'm staring at that instead of paying attention to what's going on, but easily distracted, I guess you could say. Right now I'm going through the depth chart. I want to redshirt some players, people that won't get a play anyways, so there's no point in even messing with them. Go ahead and redshirt them, get it out of the way. Granted, I could redshirt a couple of years down the road, like when they were a junior or something, but that'll hopefully be replaced by then by better players, so they won't get a play anyways. So redshirting is not going to really make any effect on them. I redshirt the senior, my number 2 wide receiver there, just because I want a good wide receiver next year. So hopefully he doesn't try to go pro or for some random reason transfer. I want a good, strong wide receiver in the number 1 slot to start next season. So hopefully he doesn't go anywhere. And then I think my strong safety. Yeah, no, that's yeah. I'll actually switch out the depth chart here in a minute. Yeah, here we go. That's because some of the things, most everything is how I'd like it, how I'd want it. But there's a couple little tweaks I make, like I want at least five wide receivers on there, and those is open slot. I just don't want that empty slot just in case somebody gets hurt. They have to auto-fill it anyways. I don't want it to be some kind of random tight end or something that's actually better than my wide receiver, but he's probably not. He's a tight end. He's got to block, and he's got to be a receiver if necessary, but wide receiver, that's his job, so that's what I'd rather have. Give the young guys some work if I call on them. I can step up whenever I need it, which hopefully I won't. Hopefully nobody gets hurt, season-ending injury, and be star players, my impact players, and then be gone for the year. That would not be good. I'd probably be a little upset, but Uh, like I said earlier, I was an athlete in high school. Play city league sports around town, and I'm fairly competitive. I don't like losing. I take it really personal. Stuff like that. Any athlete will tell you. People are like, well, it's just a game. So what happens in video games? They say it's just a game. It's like, well, it's not if you're competitive. I haven't played a basketball game in probably eight or 10 years on any console, just because the last time I did play one, I smashed my Xbox 360 controller. Threw it against the ground a couple of times, and it was busted. So the next morning, I took a bat to it and hit it about 20 or 30 yards, just for the heck of it, because it was no good anyways. And I haven't played a basketball game since. It's frustrating. I don't like losing, hate losing. Video games like Call of Duty, like the shooters and stuff like that, it's not as big of a deal. It's a big deal. I don't like to lose then, especially if we get hammered. But sports games, I think that's more, especially something like this, it's more in my control. So I don't like to lose. It's kind of frustrating. But this is like I said earlier, it's also my first attempt to do anything like this. I really don't have a whole lot of time to do stuff like this. I work a full-time job, just graduated college. I work for a web design company that's based in Austin, Texas, and I work from a local town where my college was from. I work in an office, or I could work from home if need be. And I make pretty good money doing it, man. It's like the dream job. I worked out at a factory, I guess you would say, like the big high paying jobs that are around the area. And it's like I did that for 2 or 3 years, and I'm like, man, I don't want to work my butt off and be stuck here for the rest of my life, because there was guys there that had been working 20, 25 years, like they had been there longer than I've been alive, and I'm like, I can't. How? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, it was a good paying job, but it's not worth staying there for 30 years at a time. There's no way. And I got out as soon as I could. Decided to finish college, man. Like, I think it was a good learning experience. I think everybody should go through that, because I was extremely burned out of school right after high school, but I kind of did the supposed next step that everybody takes, and I did air quotes right there. Nobody's even watching me. It's kind of weird. I did the supposed next step right after high school, and it just didn't work out for me. I went through 2.5 years of college and then dropped out. I was like a year away from graduating and dropped out. I was like, I want to work in the real world. And I did. I enjoyed it. If I had to do it all over again, I would do it all over again, because working put me in the right mindset to get me to finish college, which is what I wanted to do. So I would recommend that to everybody. It's like, if you don't want to go to college, work. And if you feel that you can go back to college after that, or go to college after that, as long as you're not like paying for child support or kids or married or something like that, where it's a lot rougher. Whereas me, I was a single dude, or had a girlfriend at the time, so it wasn't like a big deal where I could just stop. I just had to worry about bills coming in from credit cards and stuff like that, and rent, how I was going to pay card payments, and how I was going to afford a house over my head, stuff like that. So it was a good learning experience. I had fun doing it, and I met some cool people doing it, but it just wasn't for me. I love my job now and what I do. I get to program. I do the HTML, jQuery, stuff like that, if you know anything about web design. Not so much into the Photoshop. That's not really my strong area, so to speak. I can do a little bit, but nothing fancy. I'm more of a programmer type of guy. But I got off on a really random tangent right there, instead of talking about what's going on. And as you can see, this is the scouting, how it looks. You can see the areas they increase, and the areas that are about what they had guessed, the range they had guessed into. I'm skipping a couple of guys just because I don't think I have a shot at those guys compared to some of these other ones. That's because it's bigger name schools like LSU and Auburn and Alabama and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna take this guy away from them, so I don't even bother with it. And some of these guys jump up a crazy amount. Like I think on one of them, it was like a plus 14, and it's like, golly, he jumped up a lot. And then they'll go up plus 1, plus 2, whatever, or they'll drop plus 3, plus 4, or minus plus 3. They'll drop minus 3, minus 4. But it's not really like drastic on a lot of things. But I think this is a good idea instead of wasting all your time as being an A, B, or C player, and then whenever you get them, they're actually like a low 60 instead of like you wanted like a high 60. It's just I like how they did it this year. It looks really neat, and you actually get to see their ratings before you commit to them or offer them any kind of major deal like a scholarship, or if you don't want to pursue them after that, you can just stop pursuing them. It's not really necessary. Just kick them off your list and go on about your business. But I guess to each their own. I think I'm almost done with the scouting. It's just I went through most of the key players that I needed to get, my guard, middle linebacker, and defensive end. But after that, I went through and like I had 2 running backs that I was targeting just for the heck of it, and then my wide receivers that I was interested in just because I wanted some new wheels on my team, somebody that could handle it. I know back in the old days, what you would do is you'd put your fastest guy, your best guy, as the number 3 slot, just because the 1 and 2 are always covered by the corner as their best guy, and usually the slot is covered by like a linebacker or the number 3 corner, and you could put your best guy there and just have a heyday with it. But I didn't do that this year. I didn't know if they had ever actually fixed that little, I guess you would call it an exploit, but it wasn't really. It was just being smart. That's what you would do. But I don't know if they ever fixed that or not. But that's how we used to run it back in the day. I think I used to be like the Rutgers. I've always been the lower level teams. I don't like being a powerhouse right off the bat, because then what's the point in playing? You're already playing for the national title every year. If you win your division or conference or whatever it's called, I don't know. But like it just doesn't appeal to me to constantly be the best. Like I want to work to the best. I want to take a 1 or 2 star school and bring them up to a 5-star school. Like that seems more interesting to me than starting off with, like, let's say Texas or LSU or USC or something like that, where they're already powerhouses and they can get anybody they want from any state, and not a big deal. Like those super awesome draft classes and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I'm not interested in that. It's not my thing. I was actually down in Austin this past weekend. There was an event called RTX. I don't know if anybody knows who that is. That's the Rooster Teeth, the guys that do Red vs. Blue. They held an event down there, and I was right down there by the college and stuff like that. I never been on the campus, just drove by it. I've actually seen UT baseball play. Got to see them play, and it was pretty neat to see college baseball. I like major league baseball, of course. Big Rangers fan, have been for a long time, even before they were quote unquote good. And going to the World Series, stuff like that. I'm not a bandwagon hopper like a lot of people, but oh well. I like going. I'm actually going to watch watch the Rangers play the White Sox here in a couple of weeks. It's me and my girlfriend's anniversary, so we're gonna go up there. It's what we do every year. It's like a little tradition we started, and it's actually kind of win-win for both of us, because I get to watch baseball and she gets to spend time with me instead of me playing Xbox or working or playing on the computer, something like that. Where the only thing I play on the PC is Minecraft. The guy I work with, he got me into it. Him and watching people on YouTube like CNNers and Captain Sparkles and people like that. It was really cool. So I thought I'd give it a shot, pay the $30 for the game, and downloaded it and played it. And I was real excited when it came to the Xbox. It's way behind what it is on the PC, but that's to be expected. They can't update it near as quick as the PC version, but they're getting there. They're getting there. I think they got 2 or 3 more updates as of today. Today's the July 12th, 2012, and they have a couple of updates to catch up. So maybe by the end of the year they'll be relatively close to the PC version. But a lot of people on the PC, they like their mods and character skins and stuff like that, whereas on the Xbox you have to download it. So a lot of the fan base isn't happy about that, but they gotta make their money, man. Makes sense to me. But that's just how I am. I think I'm about to wrap up here. Should almost be done with my scouting. Yeah, I think that was the last 30 minutes of it. But yeah, I think this was just a quick first episode, get it started. Pick my coach, pick my team, get the recruiting board set up, redshirt players, depth chart, everything like that. I'll switch on the schedule here. I don't want to play against the SCF Southeast. It's just I want an actual team. Granted, I'm not going to pick like number 1 or anything like that just because I'm a 2-star team. I'm a 2-star team, and I don't want to get hammered. So I end up going with Texas State. They're a new team this year. I think I'm going to do them this year and possibly every year after that, just so I get some kind of Texas team in my roster. But yeah, here we go, starting the first season of my Huskies Dynasty. It's episode 1. The next episode is going to be the first week. I think like I said, I have the recruiting for that first week, which is about 10 minutes. Then after that, it's going to be gameplay. It's going to be full gameplay. I might end up cutting it after that, but let me know if you like it or not. Leave a comment. Don't have to like or anything like that. I don't really care. It's just me having fun, me wasting some extra time at night. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm talking to myself. So you can do whatever you want, but next episode, maybe next couple of days or so, see what it's like. See you guys later.